Waterfalls captivate us. Whether it's the thunderous roar of Niagara or the hidden serenity of a jungle cascade, they seem almost otherworldly. But beyond their visual and acoustic drama lies a hidden reality, a complex, vibrant ecosystem beneath and around waterfalls that few ever talk about. You've seen the surface. Now it's time to go deeper. Let's start with the obvious. Waterfalls are beautiful, they're natural wonders, formed over thousands or millions of years as water cuts through rock. But while most people are focused on the majesty of falling water, very few think about what's happening just behind that curtain of mist. Behind the veil tucked between slippery rock walls and beneath constant downpours, is an environment like no other. It's humid, noisy, dark, and ever-changing. And against all odds, it's teeming with life. Microclimates, the hidden habitat. Every waterfall creates its own microclimate. The relentless spray saturates the air and soil, lowering the temperature and raising humidity. This makes the area beneath a waterfall entirely different from even a few meters away. In fact, studies have shown that these unique conditions allow rare mosses, liverworts, and ferns to thrive in places where they would otherwise perish. Some plants that cling to wet rocks in the waterfall mist can't survive even a short distance away. They're that dependent on the continuous spray. In places like Costa Rica and Borneo, scientists have found species of moss that exist only in the splash zones of waterfalls. Think about that. Entire species evolved to live where water crashes violently into rock. No calm streams, no quiet ponds, just raw power and chaos. And they adapted to it. Creatures of the mist. Now, let's talk animals. Beneath the surface, in rock crevices and behind curtains of water, is a surprisingly diverse community of creatures. One of the most interesting inhabitants? Waterfall-dwelling insects. Some species of caddisflies and mayflies have larvae that live directly in the splash zones. They've evolved suction cup-like adaptations to cling to rocks in raging currents. They eat algae and microscopic detritus brought in by the flow. It's a niche so specific that even a slight shift in the water's direction could mean extinction. And it's not just bugs. Amphibians love waterfalls. The high humidity and cooler temperatures are ideal for many frogs and salamanders. In Sri Lanka, scientists discovered a species of tree frog that lives almost exclusively behind waterfalls, using the constant noise to mask their calls from predators, and sometimes even from rivals of their own species. And here's a strange one: birds. In South America, there's a type of bird called the oilbird that nests on rocky ledges behind waterfalls. Why? Because predators can't get to them. The path is slick, the sound is deafening, and the cover of water acts like a natural security system. The power of isolation. Waterfalls don't just support life, they protect it. The harsh and inaccessible environment acts as a natural barrier, isolating species from the outside world. This leads to something fascinating: speciation. In other words, species evolve independently behind different waterfalls, even if they're just a few kilometers apart. Researchers in Madagascar found that geckos living behind separate waterfalls had genetic differences significant enough to classify them as distinct subspecies. So the world behind one waterfall might be home to creatures you'll never find behind another, even though to the naked eye, they look like identical environments. The myth of sterility. Here's where things get really interesting. For a long time, people believed the base of a waterfall, the plunge pool, was almost sterile. Too violent, too oxygen-rich, too unstable. But recent discoveries have flipped that assumption on its head. Beneath the chaos of crashing water, life finds a way. Microbiologists discovered that certain bacteria thrive in the turbulence, feeding on dissolved minerals and forming the base of a microscopic food web. These tiny organisms provide nutrients for insect larvae and small fish that dart in and out of the spray. Some fish have even evolved to take advantage of this unique feeding opportunity. In Hawaii, there's a species of goby fish that climbs waterfalls using suction-like pelvic fins, laying its eggs in the protected crevices above the falls, where fewer predators roam. Yes, you heard that right. Climbs waterfalls. The acoustic jungle. One thing nobody talks about is the sound. Constant, thunderous, deafening. But this noise doesn't just affect tourists or hikers. It shapes the behavior of the animals who live there. Frogs, for example, have evolved to call at frequencies that pierce through the waterfall's roar. Some have developed extremely visual mating displays instead of relying on sound at all. Others only become active during lulls in the water's volume, say, after heavy rainfall changes the current. Even some birds change their singing behavior depending on their proximity to a waterfall. They switch to higher-pitched or more rapid-fire songs to compete with the constant roar. It's like trying to talk in a nightclub, and some species have been doing it for millennia. Hidden dangers. But it's not all lush greenery and exotic frogs. Life behind waterfalls comes at a cost. The constant moisture causes rapid erosion, collapsing habitats over time. The rocks are slick and dangerous, not just for us, but for the animals that live there. A misstep can mean death. Worse, pollution is a growing problem. Trash thrown upstream often ends up tangled in these delicate ecosystems. And because the environment is so isolated, even small amounts of contaminants can have devastating effects. Fertilizers, pesticides, or oil spills from far away can wash down into these zones and kill entire colonies of specialized organisms. Many of these habitats aren't protected because they're hidden and unglamorous compared to the waterfall's visual appeal. Most people look at waterfalls, not behind them. Hikers snap a few photos, maybe take a swim in the pool below, and move on. Scientists, until recently, did the same. The area is hard to access, dangerous, and noisy, not ideal for fieldwork. But as technology improves and more attention is paid to microecosystems, we're finally beginning to appreciate what waterfalls are hiding, some of the most extreme and specialized life on Earth.